All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Workshop Wednesday. I am not Victor Verba, as was advertised. I am Jim Sheltons, a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host for today's workshop. And today we're joined by my good friend, Matt Sykes, another systems engineer here at Variphy. And for today's workshop, Matt's going to give us a little sneak peek at some Zoom analytics. How you doing today, Matt?
Good, Jim. How are you, buddy?
Good, good. Excited for the Zoom analytics here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So on today's agenda, we're going to go over, start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. Matt's going to then give us a demonstration of some Zoom analytics. We'll pause for some Q&A and get some of your questions answered during the demo. If you do have any questions, make sure to ask them in a Q&A panel in the bottom right of the screen. And after Q&A, we'll reward one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you've won. All right, a quick overview of Variphy. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. We provide industry-leading CDR, UCCX, and Cube call analytics, customizable dashboards and widgets, remote phone control, and change management. But today we're going to focus on our newest project, currently in beta and targeted for release in Q1, Zoom Analytics. If you have any other questions about any of our other features, please feel free to chat me up in the Q&A panel on the bottom right side. All right, one more thing before we kick things off to Matt. For those of you looking for a more hands-off Variphy experience, Variphy does offer a managed consulting service. This is a service that provides a dedicated Variphy SE to do all the heavy lifting, giving you and your users completely hands-off experience. We're an extension of your organization. We provide upgrades, one-on-one training, report, and dashboard building. Your dedicated Variphy systems engineer has you covered. Your SE is engaged with your team on a one-on-one basis to provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring assistance. So the only thing you have to do is give us a call. If you want any additional information on our ECS service, feel free to reach out to your account manager, and we'd be happy to see if ECS is right for you. All right, with all that said, Matt, are you ready to go take us into the wild?
All right, welcome all. Matt Sykes with Variphy. Jim, thank you for setting the table there for me. I'm just going to start us out with a quick little glossy view of one of my pretty looking dashboards here. Just want to further enforce to everyone that you can certainly have multi-platforms on the same singular dashboards. They don't have to be siloed by their platform style, so you can certainly have Call Manager, Contact Center, Express, Cube, as well as the new, right around the corner, new Zoom Phone Analytics, which is on the same boards. So you certainly can have access to all of that harmoniously on the same pane of glass. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive us into the analytics here in a moment. I'm not going to really cover over how to deploy, how to sync with the OAuth connections to the Zoom APIs. We did cover that in our Variphy Beyond towards the end of October, which is definitely loaded on our website as well as streamed on YouTube. You can certainly see that if you need that. We'll probably rehash as we get closer to GA on that. So I'm just going to tunnel into the analytics and what we're going to be able to offer from the analytics suite for the dashboards and the reportings respectively. So we'll come back to the dashboards. I love dashboards myself, but we'll come back there in a moment. I want to start us out in the history section here underneath the analytics module. So I'll zoom in for everyone's eyes. So as before, the UI is going to look exactly the same that we do have already supported for Call Manager that we've had for quite some time. So as everyone is probably familiar with or should be familiar with on this call. So just like the Call Manager, I'm going to try not to talk about the Call Manager too much, but for the Zoom Phone Analytics within Variphy, we will be able to leverage the data content as you would expect Variphy to do so. So anything quick ad hoc search kind of based, we can very easily kind of pull that out of the history section, or you can search for it very easily in singular directions as well as dual directions and combinations alike. So we certainly have those. But there's also, once again, similar to Call Manager, how we do have mechanisms so that we can key off of the Zoom API and pull down organizational information to marry with the data. So to provide, once again, the luxurious reporting platform that everyone has known to come and love. So as an example for that, I can key off of multiple kind of organizational pieces. Department, just like the call manager, is one of them. We'll have a pick list here, so we have that level of access. Now, I'm using a single direction based off of caller right now, so maybe let's pick on account services, for instance. I won't get too lengthy here, so I'll keep this off of current day. If I want to see calls made by the accounting services department for the current day of today, I can certainly, that's what the results are here. I have 180 of them. Certainly I can segue and I'll call for lengthier time frames if I need to be specific at the very top here, or all of the relative time frame options are below. So hours, combinations, days, combinations, weeks, combinations, months, quarters, even all the way down to year to date. So we have you covered with all the historical access to this data that you'll need, as always. But for the results for one of these kind of used kind of sections that I'm keying off of here, so listing out 180 calls worth of content for the current day for the accounting services department. That is my main filter that I'm using here up above in the search criteria. So very easy to pull this out. As always, we have more than enough columns for you to utilize within the application, within the reports, detail sections, as well as the history section here that I'm in currently. So I've definitely thrown quite a few selectable columns here to our visibility, so we can certainly peruse them if we need to. I'll just cover them very high level. We'll get to those play buttons in a moment. I'm sure that definitely perks some interest. But for the current day, so going from midnight right through right now for this this Zoom account here that I have in this lab, very easy to see date, time, termination, call duration. If there's any waiting or hold time, we're going to be able to see that and read that from the Zoom API as well. As always, standard kind of reportings that we're going to have. Caller number. We're going to read the API to pull down user names, the site information for them, as well as the department content that I'm kind of leveraging right now in this search, including also device types as well. So we'll get into those into the structure reports. But this is I guess this is all the originator side of the call traffic that I have laid out in this history of results section. But also as I kind of slide on down, we're also going to have directions and call the results in here as well. So we're going to know what happened with this call or what the result of those calls were. This will be all the called side of the house is what I have over here. So this is probably traffic that is, once again, that is outbound. So suffice to say, it's not surprising that I don't have any device types or called site or departments for outbound traffic. Very straightforward. We will be able to know if we will be able to know the recording types. I'm sure that's kind of a question that's burning in people's minds right now. But yes, from this history section here, we will be able to leverage the Zoom API to actually interface with the recordings on these calls as well. So not that I'm going to play this audio out here for everybody, but I can certainly, what is the 21-second call? I can hit the play button on here very easily from this history section and have the leverage to be able to go ahead and play this recording in my ear right now if I wanted to. There's also the capability to go ahead and download that recording to your machine if you want to. Variphy does not house these recordings in our application database. We're reading them from the Zoom API. Do believe that's going to be, there is a length for access to these recordings in the Zoom API. I believe it's somewhere around the six-month mark. Don't quote me on that, but we're looking into some future consideration on that as well. So as always, within the history section here, we can leverage whatever we need to, or whatever you need to, excuse me. So whether it's inbound, if it's outbound, if it's a combination, if it's internal, even pretty cool here as well. Let's say terminated entities within the Zoom API, whether that's users, whether that's departments as well, sites, etc. So if they've been kind of termed off the system, but there's still data in the Zoom API for those entities that have been termed, we're going to be able to leverage those as well from the API with this toggle here. Let's see if I even have any. If we do have any, they would be illuminated. Here we go. They'll be illuminated by a flag. So kind of funny to say, but we flag the historical ones or the termed ones. We flag them with the flag icon. So very easy to kind of know and notate what users, what sites, what departments as well that actually have been termed. But certainly we're going to have the access to be able to report on that historical data content for those termed entities. As an example here, once again, I'm just playing with one department, one direction, but certainly I have plenty of options here. We have pick lists. We'll have pick lists into the API for the users, so we'll certainly have those. Sites as well. Where are they? Here we go. Location is going to be a free-form field, but that can certainly be kind of pulled out of the history section here, and I'll show you that in a moment. But site as well. So site's also going to have a pick list for us as well. So we'll be able to build those out into the reportings, into the dashboard widgets, provide those levels of summarization, and all that good fun stuff. And location. Location's another one, but it's not an org pick list. So once again, this will be field-based or pattern-based. So very easy for us to attain that once from a detail layout here. So this is, let's see, that color location. I don't think I have any in this one, in this lab here, but certainly can be leveraged just like the patterns that we previously used before and our other platforms of support. Okay, so having all of that, now definitely within Variphy, as always, we have plenty of role-based restrictions on the users and or groups within Variphy. So I'm going to kind of save you from that and kind of walk through all that, but most certainly under the user accounts and groups, we can certainly restrict what level of access, as including the modules as well, that users and or groups have within the application. So if we don't want somebody to be able to go ahead and run reports on a full enterprise, certainly they can be locked down to just their specific department, their handful of shared line extensions that they may be responsible for, whatever the need may be. We can certainly restrict what's needed within our application here. Okay, so we kind of covered that. We covered the playbacks and the retention there. Let's go take a look at some of the reports. So now, as always, now the UX looks completely identical to what we had before, just a new platform, and it's going to follow in the same kind of methodology that we've always had for what we support. So we do utilize a kind of a flex model of reporting within our analytics within the secondary module here. So I have a handful, to say the least, of reports that are built out here. We're not going to comb through all of these. I'll certainly talk about them. I've already pre-ran some up top here on the other browser tabs. But as always, we have a flex model. So you'll see all the wrenches over on the far left. These are kind of levers and knobs and bells and whistles I can easily turn on within our report structure that many are probably accustomed to. So we'll have certainly, as always, the search criteria that we were just playing with in the history section in the last step in the other submenu. So once again, single direction, multi-direction, the leverage for the organizational lookups and those pick lists, we will certainly have at our disposal. Whether or not we want to group any of that content by any certain entities, whether that's by a calling color users, locations, sites, departments, whatever we may need to, we can certainly call upon that. The regular, I guess, summarization statistics that we're going to have for grouped entities or for the search set groups as a whole certainly are here. So all this UI looks completely identical to what you've already been utilizing and once again have grown accustomed to, including the call history details as always. Now, there's no cradle to grave logic in here just yet, but we're looking into that on the development side at this time. Okay, so let's actually take a look at some of these reports. Now, as always, when I'm walking through my reports, whether they're they're Contact Center Express, whether they're Cube, or whether they're Call Manager, as always with this flex model reporting nature that we have, we can certainly make the reports as lengthy or as short and sweet as you like, or that nice happy medium. So here's some example reports that I have up top here, and I'll zoom in for everyone's eyes. So very simplistically, if a manager is looking for how many calls are being abandoned within the environment, I'm keying off of the current business week here, or excuse me, the current week here. I think that's including Sunday. But system-wide, how many abandoned calls are actually traversing this Zoom API system over this current week time frame? There's 185 of them. Well, how often? What was the average ring duration on those? What was the total ring duration of all these abandoned calls? Who were these calls abandoning on? So once again, very easy for us to interpret and read these users and load them into the reports. Then once again, as always, period over period in data tables for whatever call scenario styles that we want to see. This being an abandoned call report, I'm keying off of mainly just abandoned call metrics, just these two onesie twosies here, but breaking them down by multiple time frames. So can certainly break them down in data tables by those time frames, can break them down in the graphical representations by the same time frames or different time frames as well. Can certainly do month to month all the way down to quarter hour of day and all the in-betweens. I will save you from going through all the granular levels of detail, but certainly we do have that in the report here as well. So be able to see, date, time, origination, call duration, ring times, users that are participated in the call, the directions of these calls, and as well as the results of these calls. And in addition to, obviously, the device types that we're able to read from the Zoom API very easily and can sort them and leverage them how you see fit. So that's just one kind of example that I have there. Maybe we're looking for directions of calls, maybe at the enterprise-wide, or we could be more intricate with a certain department or a site or location. By all means, we can always piggyback additional search filters on top of our criteria. So just very high level, how much traffic for the current week has come inbound, has been internal, or has been outbound from this Zoom account here. Very easy to see this very high level. If we need to break it down into to volume tables, we most certainly may, as well as breaking it down into, or including, excuse me, not breaking, but including the granular level of details for all of this traffic. pretty straightforward there. Graphical representation, if it's needed, not always warranted, but certainly, as always, as I made mention a couple of seconds ago, these reports can be a couple of 100 pages long, or they can be a high-level 2-3 pager, or that nice little happy medium that I prefer myself. So here's an example of device type utilization here. So on this one, I'm just keying off of a bidirectional, wide open, give me all data for the current time frame of the current week. 3,500 calls at the high summarized level here. But, wrong way. But what I am doing is I'm also breaking it down by the device types. Now I'm sure this is a SIP circuit here that's certainly servicing this environment, but also we can break down the end user devices if they're in here as well. See, and then kind of leaderboard kind of sort them by highest to lowest based off of total call counts. So very easy to manipulate that. Add in, abandonments, answer counts, percentages, and rates if we like as well. So we definitely have all those levels of access in the flex model reporting. Maybe we're looking for something department-based. We can very easily high level for all the departments within the environment, a very kind of sample search filter here, but 4,600 calls for the current week for all of these departments out of this report here. Once again, leaderboard style sorting these, that's definitely my preferred mechanism. But also we can then relabel things as well within the reports like we have been for quite some time. So if we don't want to see originating or terminating call counts or percentages and times, etc., we can certainly easily employ our custom labels to go ahead and replace these so that they're maybe a little more intuitive and not so quote unquote techie speak on the eyes. But definitely a high level for these departments, the peak performing departments, as well as their abandonment, voicemail rates, also including calls that are rolling to call queues. Now these call queues within the Zoom API are going to be a little synonymous, once again, here we go, with the call manager side of the house and kind of how the hunt groups work within a CUCM system. So we're going to be able to see those and then leverage those as well within our structured reports and even in the dashboards that we'll get to in a few moments. Once again, within these reports, graphical representation over whatever time units you see fit, multiples if need be. What else do I have in here? Sure, I've got some detail. Or it's just all graphs. Wow. Oh, excuse me. Concurrency charts as well. So we can break these concurrency charts down and showcase the activity summaries, the activity streams, broken down by periods, by time periods as well for single departments, for multiple departments, whatever that the case may be, or whatever we're including into that report summarization. Very easy to attain and do that, as well as we will have report template packages for the Zoom API reporting from Variphy, as we already do for the other platforms we support. All right, let's not bore everybody. Okay, here's an inbound by department. So if we want to see for the account services, which I'm keying off of here, I think I am. Oh, actually, no, I've got multiples here. Let me zoom in for everyone's eyes. So for these 1,700 calls for the current week for inbound traffic for a handful of different departments, I have leveraged the application reporting engine here to break down by department and then by agent or user or whatever label that you may want to put on this. We can once again relabel that as well. But as once again the leaderboard-esque. So I keep keying off of account services because it's one of the more beefier departments for the Zoom API that I'm connected to. But once again, all the high summarized content that we're going to need. Do we need to now? The reason these are hyperlinks because there's definitely details supported in this report down below. So I can click on one of those hyperlinks, get shot down the report to that specific section for account services. I have all the high-level summarized content that would be in the top of the report for this department right here at my disposal or my view, and then we'll break it down by the users. So Megan Love just happens to be the peak performer in account services for this current week time frame on the inbound traffic. Here are her summarized numbers that we would see up above, but also the granular details of the calls of these 62 calls of which she was a part of. So definitely you can certainly include this, but once again, you can always suppress the detail if it's a little cumbersome to deliver that to a manager in an automated fashion. Now, that is definitely one of the nice things of the application as well. As I can run any one of these reports from this section here, kind of in an ad hoc instance, but also we can automate these reports as well. So any of these reports that would need to maybe go out to a manager, certainly we can create scheduled automation for them. Now, I don't necessarily have all of them built out at the moment, but just to kind of peruse this very briefly here, I can easily build out a report, pick one from the pick list in the report section that I already have created, and then just leverage it and then build out the frequency for delivery. So whether this is an hourly, a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly, a biannual, or an annual basis, very easy for us to go ahead and deliver those. Now we're going to be able to go ahead and deliver those. The relative timeframes are pretty straightforward, so those are, I think, understood. But the delivery model, so we're going to be able to provide these reports in a deliverable fashion in our top 4 file output format options: CSV, HTML, PDF, and Excel. The 2 middle ones, HTML and PDF, will be able to garner and deliver graphical charts as well. The other 2 on the outside will not. Now, as always, we can deliver these reports via email as an attachment or as a hyperlink within the body of the email, but we also have other options as well that I don't have turned on at the moment. So we can certainly also even deliver reports to WebEx chatbots or chat spaces to groups of teams that are actually connected to that bot in that space. We can also deliver reports and alerts to see here, FTP/SFTP servers that are on the network. So if you want to have those, written to a SharePoint location, for instance, certainly you can definitely do that, and they can be harvested by other systems. But also we can, lastly, maybe write them locally into the application, so into our report repository. Now, every report does get captured by the report repository, but maybe if you want to go ahead and specify your schedule to do so, you certainly may. Within the report repository, we'll certainly be able to harvest those reports later if we wanted to, or you can certainly secondarily come back to that. The repository is in the report section over here on the far left. So we can search for reports for myself that I've ran, other users. I can segue the time frame for lengthier time frames for reports that have ran. So if I don't want to rerun a report, I can certainly harvest it here from the repository section, or even see if any, let's see, do I have any, or if any reports were failing. So if there's a kind of a pass fail, we can certainly see that and leverage that as well. And those reports certainly from the repository, if we can download it to our machine, we can lock it to protect it, or we can even turn on the URL access link to it and then chat that over to one of my peers that they can download that report without having the application run it again against the engine. Okay, that was a mouthful. Excuse me, back to the reports. So also site, as I made mention earlier, site is going to be an organizational piece that we'll be able to filter on as well. So we'll be able to see that and read that from the Zoom API, and then once again, kind of leaderboard sort this if need be, or build out whatever content that you need within the structured reports. So high-level summary here in the first row, if we're only using one search set, by all means, you may certainly use multiple search sets in here, but a grouping section as well. So I like to group these leaderboard style, which I keep saying, graphical representation, data table representations for period over period, as well as concurrency too. So we can very easily in these reports and in the dashboard widgets as well showcase very easily capacity utilization on these on the call traffic, or even on the routes themselves or the devices. So I'll save you from the rest of this report, and let's mosey on to a few others because I definitely want to get to these. Okay, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. This is an organizational-based department report for inbound traffic to the IT help desk, it looks like. Break it down by user and also their applicable devices that they're actually handling these calls on. Now, maybe I'll pick on Bill here. He's got multiple devices here that he has traffic for his 122 calls going out on, but very easy we can see what devices he is actually utilizing for his call traffic. Summarized metrics over there on the right for the grouped entities, as we can see. So plenty of, connected, not connected, abandoned, voicemail. These are just counts. I can certainly add in percentages in here as always. But let's mosey on down the line here. Okay, more. This is lengthier time frame, same style of stuff. Yes, report queuings. So let's key off of this one. So as I made mention earlier, call queues within the Zoom phone system here is going to be synonymous with kind of call manager hunt groups once again. So we're going to be able to leverage, the call queues as well because it is content data from the Zoom API. So we're going to be able to read the call queues themselves and actually see the agents that are handling those calls from those call queues. So once again, to see obviously if the call queue is well maintained, is there a lot of abandonment or a lot of calls being rolling to voicemail for some reason? Is there a staffing issue, et cetera, et cetera? Now in this one, these are all flatlined at 0, so makes me feel that this team is certainly doing their job with handling calls that are coming into this resident relation call queue. And then as always, I can build out period over period for multiple scenarios, call statistic scenarios that I see fit or that you see fit, multiple time frames, multiple hours of day, and then graphical representation for the grouped entities for those call queues as well. A lot of options and graphability there. That's not even a word, but that can certainly be built out and thrown into the reportings. Also, last but not least, before we head back to the dashboard, I'm running out of time. No calls report. Now, this is definitely one that myself and my peers definitely like to build out on dashboard widgets as well as structured reports for the Cisco side of the house, and we're going to do the exact same for Zoom. So once again, we're going to be able to leverage the Zoom API and read all that content for the organizational entities, whether they're users, departments, sites, locations, etc. But then also be able to showcase who has no usage over said time frame. Now, in this example here, I'm keying on departments as well as down to the user level, at least that's that is tied to the calls that have no usage. So we're going to be able to run over. Now, this is only off of the current week, so not exactly production, but if we wanted to leverage this over, say, 6 months, over 3 months, current quarter, whatever that need may be, to help you kind of keep the system as clean as possible, so that we don't have a lot of older devices no one's using, or terminated users' devices still connected, and maybe garnering any license costs for you, just pointing that out. But very easy to kind of build that out and leverage for what has zero traffic over said time frame, and build it out quite easily. And then what we'd be able to do, of course, excuse me, let me just resize this guy, then we'll be able to leverage them in dashboard reports, dashboard widgets, excuse me. So once again, the department. So if I want to build out kind of department high-level summarization. Now, one thing that's awesome about the dashboard widgets, as I always say, is they're not stale at one point in time. These things are refreshing every couple of minutes. So once again, they're not stale, but they're not exactly real time. They're not live, but they're semi-real time, I like to call them, because they will refresh every couple of minutes. So whether or not we're looking for top departments as far as just general inbound, outbound traffic, very easy for us to build that stuff out, as I made mention in the reports. The summary bar up top here for this group as a whole, or all these 5 grouped entities for departments, what are their high level of summarization? What's the abandonment rate looking like? What's the voicemail call rate looking like? Definitely very easy to kind of build that out period over period. So that's call volume by time periods. This one's keying off of looks like my relative time frame is current month. I'm breaking it down on the x-axis here by date, but certainly, as always, can do month over month all the way down to quarter hour of day and all the in-betweens as needed. Well, high-level directions of calls, like we saw in one of my previous reports, just in a widget form. So once again, this is refreshing. It is not a set stone point in time, so this is refreshing as time progresses. Couple little cute announcement of the day widgets I can easily build in here, but capacity utilization as well. So how much traffic is coming into a certain group, coming in over certain devices, or just system-wide into the environment, bidirectionally, of course. So inbound and outbound traffic. How often are these calls, traversing that we want to keep tabs on? This I'm breaking down this utilization by hour of day cumulatively. What we can see what the high watermark is, and what days those falls on, and what time. So just the y-axis here is certainly servicing what is the peak call usage during the time frame, and just hovering over the dots or the lines in this line graph here will certainly show us what this is. So that red mark there says that it's from December 6th. There were 6 concurrent calls that were happening during the 6 a.m. hour. Pretty easy to kind of go ahead and leverage that, and I think I have one more I may show you in a bit. So as well as so we had departments. We've got we can do distribution styles off of departments, off of sites, off of locations, off of other mechanisms as well that we can certainly build this out on. So if we want to see exactly, once again, the top departments, pretty much the same exact widget I have here. It's just kind of laid out a little differently in a distribution style widget. Okay, let's see here, more period over period. So I have this broken down by week. I'm actually keying off of a specific department for these these few down here. So I think, what was it? Enrollment services was my peak performer as far as departments were concerned. So I'm kind of leveraging that and then building this out kind of week by week. Could certainly do month over month if I wanted to for that kind of trending analysis over a lengthier time frame than 30 days. I just don't have much November data in here. That's why I did a little more abbreviated, but certainly to each their own. You can have multiples of these sitting side by side or right next to each other with relative same content, just broken down by different time units. It's definitely attainable. Once again, sites. So if I want to key off the sites, not that many sites here on this one here, but certainly I'm leveraging them in the distribution kind of mechanism in this widget here as well for current month, but definitely can play with the relative time frames as you see fit. And of course, these all resized on me, didn't they? Call exposure, let's say. So anything digit related. Oh, this really going sideways on me. Anything digit related. So if there's 911 call traffic or international call traffic that we want to keep tabs on, very easy for us to build these out in the widgets because once again, these are refreshing every couple of minutes. But also you can have them in the structure report underneath the analytics reporting section as well. We want to build out the users that are actually the users within this enrollment services department and who are the peak performers. There's Rebecca, there's Joy, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. But certainly leveraging the top 20 or so performers within this department. If we want to see the 911 traffic, how often that was happening for the current month, or what days it was falling on. So certainly these 6 calls were spread between the 2nd and the 5th. Those are my 6 calls there. But if I also want to see who are the users actually that called out to 911, I can certainly do so as well. Let me pull this guy up. So I have a detail widget here that will give me some, or excuse me, a summary widget here that will show me, actually it's a grouping widget, my apologies, what users are actually placing those calls out to 911 or out to an international entity or whatever you see fit built in here. Very easy to list this out and showcase, well, this is, Charlotte, called 5 times for the current month over to 911 with an average of almost 2 minutes. So I'm not certain if all those were valid, but it looks like they may have been because the total between those 5 is just shy of 10 minutes here. So just something that a manager may want to know about or a system administrator may want to have keep tabs on. For that last report that I was kind of showcasing as well, who are the users that have no usage whatsoever? So bidirectionally, so no inbound calls, no outbound calls, no internal calls, just complete 0 usage. And very, excuse me, very easy for us to list that out. These are in alphabetical form. This can be obviously like this report up here. I can build that out into an automated routine as well. So if maybe a manager or supervisor or an executive wants that ran over, on a weekly or a monthly time frame or a quarterly time frame, very easy for us to go ahead and automate and deliver that. All right, looking down. Okay, so the last thing I guess I will cover, because I'm running a little over, will be, as always, the Variphy.com website is pretty robust. So I'm in the knowledge base section here. So as always, we have KB articles on all of our supported platforms, how to build this, how to build that. Did you know this? Did you know that? But also then we will have our Zoom KBs for this for once this rolls out in GA in a couple of months. So how to build it, how to go ahead and set up the OAuth connection on the Zoom marketplace, how to, your statistics guide, your kind of criteria guide, and your data dictionaries, and all that will be here for you. So in addition to report template packages that will be in here shortly as well. So definitely a lot of content that is on the horizon, and I can't wait to get it out into the field. So that is all the content I have for today. Thank you everyone for joining. Jimbo, we got any Q&A lined up for me?
Yeah, we just got one question from Michael.
Sure.
Came in. Will Zoom Phone Suite be a separate add-on like Cube, or will it be included?
Good question, and actually, Mike, it will be. It's going to be an add-on module within Variphy, so a new platform, a new procurable platform within Variphy. Yes.
But you can mix and match if you've got Call Manager and Zoom. You can have it all on the same screen there.
Exactly, single pane of glass. And then even for those clientele that are migrating away from the Call Manager over to Zoom or a cloud platform calling system, certainly we can probably also be your kind of migration tool as well, where we can see during the migration, obviously things start to taper off on the Call Manager, and certainly the influx of data that's now been migrated over to your Zoom API or your Zoom system, but can be on the same pane of glass. But yes, it is a new add-on platform procurable through Variphy.
Awesome, thanks.
Quite welcome.
All right, yeah, nothing else came in, and I know we are getting short on time, or we're a little bit over. So if you want to pass me back the ball, or I can steal it from you. All right, we get through Q&A. So I would like to mention our online user community, Planet Variphy. This is a place where you can connect with your peers and expand your knowledge of all things Variphy, or chat in the canteen about your favorite movies, sports teams, food and drink, etc. Now we're getting to the point that some of you have been waiting patiently for here. This week's gift card winner, and the winner is Joey Duncan. Congratulations, Joey. Your account manager will be reaching out to you shortly to get you paid. All right, we are going to take some time off for the holidays to rest and recharge, and we'll return early in January. You can always take a look at upcoming workshops at variphy.com/company/webinars. And next month's workshops will be posted on there soon. I don't think they made it up there yet, but they will be up there soon. So take a look when you get a chance. And I'd like to thank you once again for taking the time to join us today. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy the holiday season.
Take care, all. Thank you.
Thanks.